Haven't ever heard of Shovelware Studios lately, because I remember back when I was a little kid, I used to see the games on the front page, right next to all the famous ones like Roblox in high school, Legend of Survival, work at a pizza place, and was super fun to play as I used to grind those games day in and day out. But fast forward a few years, the group went through some big change, wiped out all of its original games that is no longer active on Roblox, which is super confusing as it was doing fantastic years prior. So what could have possibly happened to cause such a big event? Well, before I delve deeper, some context is needed. For anyone unfamiliar with Shovelware Studios back before it became the state it was now, believe it or not, it was actually a really popular group back when they primarily focused on making Roblox hobbies. And no, not those one that suck absolute dog shit. It primarily focused on story-based hobbies that told their story as you progress through the stages, rated in creativity and originality, giving it a sense of quality never seen before. So naturally, many big YouTubers such as Ethan Gamer, The Pals, FGTV made content on them, while he was his popularity solidifying himself within Roblox history along with his creator who made all this possible. Before the guy was known as the owner of Shovelware Studios, he was known as the owner of a very popular Roblox game named Paper Mario Roleplay, created in the early days of Roblox on November 1st, 2009, amassing over 5 million visits until its termination on August 14, 2018, due to, you guessed it, copyright claims from Nintendo. As to why Nintendo themselves would bother with this game that would generate little to no income or would not disturb the company in any way, shape, or form? Well, that's because of a certain Pokemon game that got a bit too popular for its own good. But that's a story for a later segment. Circling back before all the infringement nonsense, our dear Dogon was working on another game, one that will shape its destiny forever. Released on February of 2015, 2 years before the formation of Shovelware Studios, Escape SpongeBob movie Obby came to life, following the perspective of our boy SpongeBob and his bro Patrick journeying through the lands of the Bikini Bottom to find the stolen crown of King Neptune and save Mr. Crab from his frozen fate. Now, doesn't that storyline sound a bit familiar? Of course, it's the plot of the first ever movie of SpongeBob, except in Obby format. Now, I have no idea if the original game did good or not because the game was deleted and re-uploaded onto the Shovelware group, in which I didn't exist in that time period of Roblox, but judging how the Gon disappeared for like 2 years, I can only deduce it might have been a flop. But that didn't deter us. 2 years after the release of SpongeBob Obby, the Gon came back from the dead to announce the launch of Shovelware Studios on May of 2017. Once it came to the release of Escape Professor Poopy Pants Obby, which you know, South Canada, dumb. But this was a massive sensation back then as Captain Underpants was so popular, and had parents knocking down the door with pitchforks in their hands and torches in their necks just to get their books banned on Scholastic. As for why, you ask? It's all because of a certain blonde individual that we all know and love. It's gay! Anyways, although I said at the beginning that these games were, you know, story-based hobbies, that isn't exactly the case as there's like legit no congruent storyline. It's just some really made shitpost that goes something along the lines of this. Someone has shrunken a school to the size of an ant and protagonist gotta figure out who that is by running through multiple hallways, cross many corners and into a school gymnasium full of kids throwing volleyballs across the pits of the underworld, tormenting anyone trying to bypass. Fortunately for our protagonist, having gotten plenty of exercise outside, or else we could salt the fish and smoothly sail across. Bypassing all the kids was easy and into another crack into the wall, featuring deadly dance battle, followed by alien lunch ladies, poorly written quizzes on to break the fourth wall, and a library full of kids until arriving inside the sewers. Surprisingly, the sewer underneath the school came bearing gifts, as our protagonist found a shrink ray responsible for shrinking the school that can also be used to turn the school back to normal. Almost a cure for all their problems, ready to endings once and for all. Our protagonist gracefully steps out of the sewers and is immediately greeted by the destruction of the world commanded by a guy with a dumbass name called Professor Poopy Pants, or rather his phone name, beep 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 diarrhea stained Poopy Pants Esquire. And just like his name suggests, he got destroyed like the joke that he is by using power music held by the frozen Mr. Krabs statue and Weird Al Yankovic because he is weak as shit to rock music. Looking back, it's no wonder how Shovelware got so popular as it was so fun to jump through various obstacles, looking into the story and immersing yourself with the games like you were meant to be a part of it. Perhaps Dogon knew this as 5 months after the development of Escape Professor Poopy Pants Obby, 2 new obbies were introduced. Save Lightning McQueen Obby released on June 11, 2017, and Escape Minions Adventure Obby released on the 28th of the same month, serving as a prequel to one of the coolest Roblox experiences of all time. And it goes something like this. Guru and Drew are confused to why the Minions are suddenly going on strike, and orders an investigation starting with the most useless position in the company, human resources. Unfortunately for our protagonist here, due to a foresight in construction, HR is quite literally miles away. Getting by long drops attitude, lasers that eviscerate anything it touches, long rise attitude, Minions that don't run very fast, and a drop into the void as a rusty grate underneath our protagonist disintegrates to dust at the slightest touch. Luckily for our protagonist, however, they landed right into the HR's office, coincidentally discovered the Minions' reason for revolting. According to Kevin, CEO of Minion-themed, the Minions are mad because the most beloved bananas are gone, as some low brass stole it, requiring the crew to get it back before the situation gets worse. Just after going through some lazily rendered stains on the ground and a room made of money, our protagonist embarks on the ship with the very person who stole our bananas. Bowser's our brats, who changes us to a dance battle inside a totally easy airship, not knowing he's about to get his ass blasted back to the 70s using power music. Following these releases, the 2 Obby garnered over 60 million visits, and with the way to avoid consequences for copyright infringement, decided to go even deeper. Just 1 year after the release of Escape the Minions Adventure Obby, along with the Captain Underpants Adventure sequel that made me piss my pants when I was young, uploaded Despicable Forces, and it became an instant hit as they managed to combine both Sonic forces and Despicable meat into one game, and ironically creating peak comedy gold that goes something like this. On an unexpected Wednesday, Gru is getting his ass gripped by his mom for the 5th time this week for being a disappointment while shopping for groceries. Angry, Gru hangs up, clearly done with his routine, laughing about why they do the same song and dance every week before realizing something's wrong. Oh shit, the girls! Gru has forgotten about his appointment to the girls dance to see the concert that starts in literally a few minutes. Not spend much time, Gru lets Mel with a mission of taking a grocery home before taking a shortcut through a giant loop-de-loop, I don't know who made this, a giant glass building, and onto a highway before getting jumped by Mel and his gang here assembled 2 seconds ago. As for why? I don't know. Jokes aside, after Gru's defeat, he was shipped off to Brass Totally 80 Space Prison, where he spent the next 6 months, along with you, the rookie that also got captured for some reason, inside the poorly ventilated prison cell without a toilet or bed sheets. And so, with no one to stop Mel, the world fell into chaos yet again. 6 months after the capture, however, while pondering ways to escape, a call from the Pharaoh ring out, preparing our protagonists for their eventual escape. Combined with a fast-thinking and ability to run, our protagonist managed to escape to the Grumobile, then proceeds to immediately insult the child next to them, which according to the Pharaoh is an alternate version of Gru that appeared out of a portal to save him from getting humped by Victor. So left in the Pharaoh's lengthy explanation, our protagonist landed at a resistance base, aka Gru's house, for the plan to defeat Mel, and that's to stop this crew of villains from manufacturing another fleet of giant mecha menace over the giant pyramid in Mexico by destroying said pyramid. While that is true and props to Agnes for the information, nobody could have expected that the pyramid they've been trying to destroy all this time is a fake. But who? Who even had the resources to do an entire pyramid? Maybe the mission might have been a hoax, but the next one's the real deal. So Agnes brief our protagonist on a new mission, destroy Brass Totally 80 Space Prison by wrecking the satellite that's controlling it. The catch is guarded by Drew, Gru's villainous younger brother. So also not arouse any suspicion while Gru fights Drew, younger Gru sneaks into another satellite. Easy, right? Oh, absolutely. Us Gru obliterates his brother in approximately 50 seconds, while Agnes dishes out the coldest lie I ever heard from a 6-year-old. Anyways, was a mission success, and this congratulates the protagonist while briefing them on the next mission. That's why Agnes is the only one out of the 3 girls still talking? Oh, that's because the other 2 doofuses got frozen while aura farming. In all seriousness, the location this time is Castle Casino, where Brad is located, and after give him the 2-piece combo with no sauce, our protagonist learns about the true weakness of Mel, the power of music. Thus, after learning that crucial information, the crew arrives at the Temple of Music with you, the rookie, going to find Mel, floating above the ground, aura farming, while the pair of Gru stayed behind to keep watch. Unfortunately for the rookie, wireless Wi-Fi doesn't really exist in the temple, so left with no choice, decided the best choice of action against a quasi-deity is to throw hands with it, who's guarding a secret weapon all by himself. Ultimately, however, a minion is still a minion, no matter how much power they possess, as Mel got destroyed in like 60 seconds top. Now that the crew got the instrument they were looking for, they can finally do absolutely nothing as the instrument in front of them disappears. Turns out, our protagonist severely underestimated Mel as he rose up, does off his overalls, popped the domain expansion, Mel Space, effectively trapping the 2 of them inside where nothing but low effort slop exists. Upon arriving not even 10 seconds in, the slop was so boring that both the rookie and Gru unanimously decided that Mel Space is so ass, they'd rather die than stay there for a second longer. Thus, having reached such consensus, decided to gamble their lives for a double boost for all or nothing. Luckily for our protagonist, the gamble paid off, and they broke through Mel's domain back into the reality more determined than ever to beat the living soul out of their ops, as they proceed to obliterate everyone in record time before finally approaching Mel to settle things once and for all. Mel, excluding an aura fit for a villain, laughed maniacally as his tension started rapidly rising, until the budget abruptly cut into an intermission segment while we wait for the villain's transformation to end. And so after a long intermission, the long-awaited showdown finally came to fruition. It was the newly stolen Mecha Minion rushed towards Mel. Defeating him was a triple boost and ending was a smile. All that ends well, right? Fuck no. Despite the serious storytelling all the creative things Shovelware managed to pull off in this game, they still managed to keep the humor in place and never lost it, even managed to pull a couple of Easter eggs, like the horrifying minute death screen if one managed to glitch out Cash Out Casino, or the one in episode Drew, the extra levels that told us about the behind the scenes over the villain sides directly referencing the Minion's protest scene that was supposed to be resolved around 3 years ago. Sounds familiar? Well, that's because the storyline from Escape the Minion's adventure, being which Drew participated in. Like seriously, they did not need to go this hard, but they did, and it was reciprocated with love from the community and its content creators, with many YouTubers coming back once more just for Despicable Forces. It really felt like Shovelware was on top of the road, and it will only get better from here. Unfortunately, all good needs must come to an end, as Despicable Forces became the last hobby Shovelware will ever create with a soul. Pokemon Brick Bronze was also a pioneer for this time, as it was the first to make a fully customizable, working Pokemon game with its own storyline Roblox. And because of this achievement, it became too big in fact as it got over 800 million visits, causing Nintendo to take notice and strike down Pokemon Brick Bronze on April 18th of 2018. But what does this have to do with Shovelware Studios? It's because after this incident, Roblox began cracking down intellectual property more seriously. And since Shovelware had been using various popular media's IP without permission, fearing the same situation what happened to him, the guy reluctantly privated all his hobbies in 2022. Although Shovelware will still release games that went on to have various successes like Shrunken School Hobby, Super Slime Simulator, or even the latest experience, Shovelware Brain Game, it all felt like ass. If I were to describe this feeling, it would be that it felt too overly polished just before the purchase of Shovelware. The obvious all had the unique charm like I described, with most of them being shitposts that occasionally break the fourth wall for the sake of humor. And even with the most serious one out of all of them, still occasionally made fun of itself with its funny sound effects, hilarious scenarios, and wacky humor. But compared to the day ones, the recent ones felt like a shell of itself. The comedy that had always been there since the beginning of time is now gone, and in place was cringe. Like, this shit's actually so sad to see. Finally, before I end the video that had been dragging on for way too long, I just want to say, scratching your balls is not good for your health.